If you're using your 2015 to 2017 four-wheel drive F-150 to its fullest extent, or even if you've got a lot of miles on the clock, something that may need attention are your front wheel bearings. This set will give you a complete bolt-on replacement for both front wheel bearings and hub assemblies for a fraction of the cost of just one of these direct from Ford. One of the most integral and arguably most overlooked part of your vehicle's driveline are the wheel bearings. Especially on a four-wheel drive truck, the front wheel bearings can really take a beating. Even more so if you're engaging that four-wheel drive system often or taking your truck off the beaten path. Bearings can start to wear or bind, and they'll not only make an awful noise, but they can make it much harder to drive your truck. This set is a complete bolt-in replacement hub assembly that includes those new bearings, new wheel speed sensors, integrated sensor rings, and new wheel studs, and they're ready to go right out of the box. So these are going to be exact replacements for your factory bits, meaning that they will bolt right on, no fuss, no muss. They feature pre-lubricated ball bearings, and your ABS sensors are already pre-wired and ready to go, so they come ready to mount up on your truck to get you rolling again nice and smoothly without any fuss. As you might expect, these are built to mimic the hubs and bearings that come on your truck from the factory. The outer portions are made from cast iron, and inside you'll find pre-lubricated roller bearings with elastomer seals to make for low friction and low noise. Again, they come with new wheel studs already pressed in, and you get new ABS sensor rings and the pigtails for them already set and ready to go, which makes everything an easy installation, and we'll talk more about that momentarily. Pricing comes in at about $350 for the pair, making them a really affordable option. And they're going to save you a ton versus the equivalent parts from Ford, because just one of these from the dealership is nearly $300. So this is basically getting you both of them for the same price as one. So these will get you a full replacement for both sides of the truck for less than half of what it would cost from your dealer. You can also save some money if you install them yourself. Installation will get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 3 hours to complete. Now, like I've mentioned already, these are a bolt-in replacement. They don't require you to modify anything on the truck itself. However, there is quite a bit of disassembly required. But fret not, this is a job you can tackle at home given the right tools and enough time. And we're going to have one of our AT customers walk you through that install process step by step right now. So with that, let's hand it over.
These are the tools I'm going to use to replace the wheel bearing on my 2017 F-150. I'm just using the jack out of the truck itself, some lithium grease for putting on the wheel bearing face, and then when I replace the rotor as well. And then got a mallet and a 3-pound sledge to help get it off, grease, nitrate gloves for packing the wheel bearing, and then caliper hook, C-clamp to help get the brakes off and back on, a brush to help clean up any of the dirt that is around the wheel bearing before opening it up to replace it, a couple sizes of ratchets. This one's a 3/8, this one's a 1/2 inch, and then I got a breaker bar that is a 1/2 inch. I got a big screwdriver to help with the clips, and also for helping scrape out some of the dirt, because on my passenger side there was a lot of dirt that I had to scrape off. And then a little flathead screwdriver for actually getting the clip for the wheel bearing undone, since they're a little tight. And then we'll need a 21mm socket. I have 2 different sizes, a deep well and a shorter one. And then a 7/8 for the lug nuts on the wheels. And then I have 2 different 18mm. One's a 3/8 drive and one's a 1/2 inch drive. And then I have a step up bit that takes it from a 3/8 drive to a 1/2 inch drive, and then a 1/2 inch to a 3/8 drive to try to use them interchangeably. And then an 8mm socket for the clips for the wiring that goes onto the frame of the truck for the wire harness, and then 13mm for the back bolts on the brake caliper. So some tools I forgot to mention. I have a clip puller that will help get the center cap off of the nut holding on the wheel bearing, and then impact that helps get some of the bolts off and some of them back on without having to ratchet them too much. And then I forgot to mention WD-40 to help loosen up the rotor to get it off. The first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to get the jack at least placed on the frame before I start lifting up, start taking the lug nuts off. Just make sure you get it good on the frame and make sure you're at good level ground. Okay, so I got it started so it's a little wedged in there to make it easier. And then now we're gonna start taking off the lug nuts. And this is where the 7/8 will come into play for the F-150. Oh, got to do the reducer for the socket that I have. Alright, and then just go ahead and loosen all of these up. And as I was mentioning, this reducer is impact rated for air tools. So hopefully I don't break it like I did a few others on the other side. Alright, so that's it for that socket for now. Unfortunately, I have not invested in a better jack than what I got, but this at least does the trick if you have bare minimum tools. And just keep on lifting it up until you've got a little bit of clearance underneath the tire. That way the tire pops off easily. As you can see, I can get my hand underneath the tire a little bit. So that'll help there. And now I'm going to finish taking off the lug nuts for the tires. And this is where my impact, I'll go ahead and use it. That way it just helps speed up the process a little bit. Take the tire. And we'll just roll it out of our way for now. So I'm not sure if there's a proper, series of steps, but we do need to take the caliper off. We need to take the center cap off, and then once this is off, the rotor in theory should come off. Since this is probably going to be hit off, just like the other side was, I won't be saving the rotor because on the other side I ended up damaging the other rotor, so that way they wear at the same rate. I'm just going to go ahead and replace it, and I just got rotors from O'Reilly's to switch out. So real quick, we'll do the cap first. This is where that puller will come into play. So there's a little lip that you just got to get it behind. And just kind of go around it. And once you get a little in there, just be careful not to damage it. But as you can see, it comes out fairly easy. And that's it. So last time I just took the whole caliper off in one piece. I think what I'm going to do this time is take out these back bolts from the center part of the caliper, and then we'll hang it up out of the way. I think that might be easier this time, and then we'll take off the main body. So these two back bolts that are smaller are 13 millimeter. So I'm just going to use my impact because I recently did do the brakes, so these are loose. I don't have to use a breaker bar on them to get them cooperate. So I went ahead and put the hanger up here just as a that way I don't have to try to grab it with my other hand and stretch the hose. Gotta be careful to do that so you don't damage the hose. And to hold on to that, and then pull that out. And start just wiggling it out. Alright, I might need to use the C-clamp just to get a little bit of pressure off. So what you do is you take this end, put it on the piston. So, and it doesn't need a whole lot of tension taken off. And it is fairly easy. Wiggle up. And then just use the bolt hole as your means of hanging it. Next, we'll go ahead and just slide these off. Put those off to the side so they don't get damaged. And like I said, I did recently replace those, so I don't need to do anything special with that. And then just as a precaution, I'm gonna go ahead and spray some WD-40 behind there. I did spray it a few days ago to try to make it easy on me getting this off, because the other one was a pain. So hopefully this one isn't too much of a pain. So just spray between the lug nuts to hopefully, or the parts of where that the lug nuts go into, and then the center ring, the rotor just sits on it. Just spray it back there, and then I'm gonna go back behind. It's kind of hard to see with the shield still on it, but hit it behind. So these should be 21mm bolts. These are the 2 bolts for the wheel bearing housing. So this one, just to be safe, I'm gonna just use the breaker bar for it. It should still be somewhat loose, but just to be safe, so I'm not struggling too much. Oh, that's tightening. Go ahead and readjust it, and there we go. You apply downward first. Back up. And do the same thing. Just get it loose enough. Okay. Now it is recommended to replace those bolts by what I've been reading recently. I don't have those bolts, so for now I'll just have to reuse what I already have. They're not stripped, so in that sense that's a good thing. And now we can just take this off, and we'll set this off to the side so it's out of our way. I guess the next step is to get the rotor off. So since I have sprayed it, I'm just gonna, out of hoping, since I did it about a week ago, if you're trying to save the rotor, do not hit it on the face, hit it on where the brake pads are, but hit it on the actual face that the wheel actually bolts up to. And this time, I guess spraying it the week prior was helpful. This just came out super easy. So that we'll just wheel off to the side. I'll go ahead and take this part off. It should be 8mm bolts. And a rock, I guess. So next, before I start taking these bolts out and making cracks in there. You want to try to keep the inside clean so it doesn't prematurely damage or destroy the new bearing. So I got a brush for that, just a nylon brush. And that's where I mentioned that I have a screwdriver, the bigger one. So as you can see, I got a bunch of dirt buildup kind of all around. So I definitely want to get all that cleaned up. Before I start pulling that out. I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to clean the inside of it out when I get the bearing out. So just be careful of this wire. It is getting replaced with the bearing, but I don't have a very good working air compressor, so just gonna do it this way. So next we'll go ahead and take the 2 bolts, and they should be 18 millimeter. Yep, significantly easier with the breaker bar than trying to do it with a shorter ratchet, but it definitely helps to have that leverage to do this. Okay, that one's loose. I'm gonna go to this top one right here, do the same thing. And as you notice, since I have a breaker bar, yeah, I can get it with a shorter ratchet, but they're not super tight. So when you go to put the new one on, don't over tighten them, otherwise you just strip the holes out. So now I should be able to go in them up the rest of the way with the impact. Don't want to take them all the way out. So there's one bolt that's completely visible right here, and then there's one right here. So we'll start with the visible one first. This is where the breaker bar is going to come back into play. This one looks like it's going to be going up. It's the opposite of the back side. So now we'll hit that one on the back. It is somewhat loose, so I might be able just to use a ratchet and get it going. Alright, now I can get it done by hand. It is a little bit of a tight space. Alright, so that pulls out. There's one bolt. Take this bottom one out. Looks like I might be able to get it by hand now. Okay. There's 2 bolts. Let's loosen that. On the back side, on the other side, we'll pull out the bottom one first until we take out that nut first. And that's the one that actually is holding on the assembly. And it is a 13 millimeter. It shouldn't be on there super tight. It only is held down by 13 foot-pounds. Yep, see, already broke loose. So I'm gonna leave that on actually for now. And I'm gonna start taking clips off. So this first wire, you know, as I mentioned, I already took the first bolt off. So this just fits in there. And then I had already taken, I can get it, there we go, that one off earlier. The next one in the line is this one. And like I said, the new wheel bearings do come with the plastic clips, so if you do break it, then it's not a huge concern. Alright, and then the next one is this one right here. So that one, I'll have to go through the engine compartment. The wire harness, when we get to it, this one's kind of hard to see, but it's right here. This is where the harness comes and plugs into. And then when I get to that section of it, I'll get a flashlight to actually show that better. So we'll have to get that other clip though from below. I might be able to come in from behind, actually push it out now. Now it's out. So now it's free. And we're gonna get it unclipped before we even pull the old bearing out. Okay, so there you can see the wire harness that I probably won't be able to videotape just because of the angle that it's at. But once I get it off, I'll show kind of how it works. I might be able to, well, I guess I won't be able to pop it off because there's not very much room for it to go wire-wise. So I'll get that undone, but there's a little red clip, and what you want to do is you need to get that to pull up. Sometimes you can just get it with your fingernail, pull it up, but more times than not you can't, it won't work that way. So I found an easy way online that if you take a smaller head screwdriver, you can pop up the hook that's on the back side of that red piece that actually holds the wire connector into place. So I'm going to try and record getting that off. So the red clip might come easy on its own, might not. It doesn't look like it is going to. So there's a hole right here where that bottom part of the red clip is. So I'm gonna get the screwdriver, which I'm not gonna be able to, my hand's gonna be in the way. And since you can't see it, you're gonna end up doing it because you're blind. Just be careful not to break the clip. Otherwise you'll run into issues where it will, the wire harness will wiggle out. So unfortunately, these are the same kind of clips that are on the, when you're replacing spark plugs, they're the same kind of clip. Okay, got it. So just take that little red tab and I'll push it up. Okay, that's as far as it will go. And should just be able to, it's being a little more difficult, but I'm also not trying to damage it too. That way I can show how this clip works. Since I can't really videotape it on the other side very well, this is that red clip that is extremely easy to break. So the easiest way to do it with a small screwdriver is actually to push up on the bottom of the red clip, push it up. There is that you can't see, there is a plastic clip in there. But basically all you do, gently push up on it and then pull this out. And then it should just come out. And then when you go to put the new one in, all you have to do is push it in, take that red clip, so you can see it, and push it down and it should clip when you do it. Okay, so now that I got the wire undone, we'll feed it back down here and we'll pull it out. And then just go back here and get on that bolt and just try to work it loose. That last big one out. See if I can get it by hand now. Yep, I can. So pull that out, and that's all 4 bolts holding bearing on from the back. And then the front one, we'll just take that one out. So I took this one out since I didn't realize I was pointed up, and we're just going to take this off, put that bolt off, or the nut off to the side, and in theory that should come out, just in case so we have better leverage. We'll get the wheel turned straight. Okay, now it should, yeah, much better. Just come straight out. As I showed on the other one, it's pretty nasty and pretty rusted. So next step we'll do is I'm gonna get my hands clean, and then we'll clean the inside of that with some paper towel. Okay, now I got my hands clean. What I'm gonna do is clean off as much of this as possible. Okay. Alright, so next thing we're gonna want to do is for this part, for sure put nitrate gloves on if you didn't already, but definitely put new ones on when you're doing this. Alrighty, so for oil, I'm just using the Valvoline Automotive Multi-Vehicle High Temperature Red Grease. So usually I just try to put as much as I can in there. I don't know if there's a specific quantity per se, but I'd rather put a little too much and have it end up squeezing out versus not enough in it damaging the wheel bearing and then causing it to fail, which going down highway is not ideal situation. So now the new bearing, try not to grab it by the wire. Try not to touch the inside of the new bearing. So orientation wise, wire is always up at the top. And so what we'll do is we'll carefully slide on the new bearing. Might take some wiggling to get it to go, and watch this so you don't pinch it. Okay, so that way it doesn't fall off. put that nut on there just loose. It's not tightened all the way down, hand tight, but at least doing it loose. Then I'm just gonna hand thread these bolts on to keep it in place and try to get it sealed up a little bit. I don't want to get them all the way tight yet. Just enough to hold it on. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do enough to just get it sealed. That way when I'm bumping stuff, I'm not pushing dirt down into it. Okay, that's just snug. Use the snug. I think I can get that one right now. So at least keep any debris out of there. And then I'll have to do the same thing, turn the wheels. Go ahead and do this first. If you're using an impact, do not do this too tight. Just snug to where it clicks. And then what we'll do is we'll feed this back up the same way it came off. And then what we'll do is just reverse order the wires. So that one goes there, and this one goes in this hole. If I can do it without looking, there we go. Okay, so as I showed earlier with the video on the other side of the truck, that top part that has the 3 pieces is your guide. So what you'll do, turn it to the side on this one anyways, push it to where it clicks, and then the red right there, push downs and clicks. So now snug, all the plastic clips are in for the harness. Okay, now that all the wire harnesses are good, we're gonna go ahead and do the center nut. So real quick, we'll get this snug down by hand. The center one is just 30 foot-pounds. And this is a clicking one, so I have it set to 30, if you can see it. With it being silver, it's kind of hard to see, but it helps if you go the right way too. Alright, there, and that it's snug up against there now. So what we're gonna do, push down and get it tightened. Okay. We'll get the one hand tight first. Okay. Now to make sure they don't come out, I'm gonna just hit them with the torque bar. Okay, that one's snug. And then we'll do the same with this one. Alright. So that's it for those two, and then we'll turn the wheel the other way. Okay. We'll get those tight. Gotta do these bolts for this housing. Almost forgot that step. Okay, so there's that. Now we can get the there we go. Alrighty, so the next part, we'll go ahead and get this back on. Hand tighten these. Now I'll try and go ahead and get these tightened up. Oh, that one came loose. Okay, so next part of the process, I'll just go ahead and put this cap back on and then use a rubber mallet, don't use a regular. Alright, so that cap is a little bit of a loose fit, at least on this bearing. So next we'll go ahead and do the brakes, put them back on. Go ahead and get the gunk out of there. Okay, so just getting the brake pads on now. Okay, alrighty, so those are on. So now we're gonna fight the caliper and get that bad boy on. And as before, we'll just use their bolts is 13 millimeter. So just like any brake job, this part's kind of tricky. So take the caliper off the hanger. It looks like the top, I might, just a little bit. Okay, so we get the top bolt threaded in. That way I can use both hands, ideally. Use both hands to actually do the bottom one. This one needs a lot more. So I'm actually going to go for the bottom and compress it. Now come from the top. Press it down a little bit. Okay. Now I should be able to just thread that in. Okay. Alrighty. So that is it for that part. The one section I did miss was clipping that, and that is the last clip for the wire harness with the new bearing. Now that's on, and we're going to turn the wheel to where it's back to face so we can get the tire back on. So now you just got to line up the new studs onto the tire and start them by hand. So, me personally, I do like using an impact to finish the process. And then just as if you were changing your tire due to a flat or something like that. Alright, so we'll clean that up. Okay. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and lower the truck. I gotta get some stuff out of the way. Okay, and then I'll just finish tightening down these lug nuts. Doing the star pattern as mentioned before. Alright, so those are all tightened down. And that finishes up doing wheel bearings.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the front wheel bearing and hub assembly set fitting 2015 to 2017 four-wheel drive F-150s. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for all things F-150, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.